Hi, Grace family. Happy Tuesday to you. Today we're in a new section in the epistle of First Peter, and this new section deals with suffering. So we can talk about a lot about suffering over these next few videos. Today we're going to be looking at First Peter chapter 3, verse 13 to 17. I'll read it for you now. Now, who is there to harm you if you are zealous for what is good? But even if you should suffer for righteousness' sake, you will be blessed. Have no fear of them, nor be troubled. But in your hearts, honor Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you. Yet do this with gentleness and respect, having a good conscience, so that when you are slandered, those who revile your good behavior in Christ may be put to shame. For it is better to suffer for doing good, if that should be God's will, than for doing evil. So Peter here makes a distinction between suffering for doing good and suffering for doing evil. All of us suffer because we do things wrong, we sin. It's just the way that God has designed creation to function. But there is a reality in the Christian life that as we follow the Lord, as we live in our baptism, we will suffer for doing what is good, what is right, what is honorable in the eyes of God. And it's an important reminder for us, because how many times have we suffered and we say, God, what am I doing wrong? Is there some secret sin that I'm not aware of? Or is God out to get me? Or what exactly is going on? Suffering is simply a reality in the life of the Christian. Here, Peter is telling us that if we're suffering, we should be suffering for doing good, not for doing evil. Now, what I find interesting is that there's a classic verse about evangelism in the section that we read. So it talks about suffering for righteousness' sake. It talks about evangelistic opportunities, and then it goes back to suffering for doing good. So suffering, evangelism, suffering. Why is the encouragement to evangelism in verse 15 sandwiched around suffering for righteousness' sake, or suffering for doing what is good in the eyes of God? Could it be that these elect exiles of the dispersion, their witness and testimony to Jesus is strengthened in the midst of their suffering? What I mean by this is that if a Christian suffers for doing what is right and pleasing in God's sight and begins to witness to Jesus, that fortifies their witness, that they would even be speaking and witnessing of Jesus in the midst of their own suffering. I think this fortifies their defense of the Christian faith. Now let's look specifically at some of the specific text about evangelism. The first you'll notice is that the elect exiles of the dispersion, the missionaries, us as Christians, right, should have a proactive attitude regarding evangelism. It says, always being prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you. Which means that before we're asked for the hope that we have as Christians, we should be prepared. Have you ever had those conversations where your witness to Jesus doesn't go so well, and then you start reading books on evangelism, you start listening to lectures or asking people, oh, I got asked this question, I didn't really know how to respond. See, the scriptures are bidding us to be proactive, right? So we're active in developing apologetic skills, defending the Christian faith. That's apologetics. Developing those skills before we're asked, so that way when we are asked, We could tell them the reason for the hope that we have. So let's not wait for those opportunities to come to us. Let's be proactive and prepare to evangelize, prepare to witness to Christ, look at defending the Christian faith so that way when those opportunities come, we're ready. The second thing is that we do it with gentleness and respect. And notice how these two things work together. If we're not proactive, if we're not prepared, we're probably not going to evangelize or witness to Jesus in a gentle and respectful manner. Why? Because we're defensive, we're unprepared, we're nervous, we're anxious. No gentleness, no respect. So let's make sure that when we're suffering for doing what is pleasing in God's sight. Let's expect that as a reality of the Christian life. Let's also see that as a prime opportunity for us to evangelize, to witness to Jesus, because it gives deeper credence to us sharing Jesus. Let's also be proactive in our evangelistic and apologetic duties as well, so that way when we're asked, we're prepared to give an answer for the hope that is within us, the hope of Jesus, right? And we're doing it with gentleness and respect because we're prepared. We're ready to handle that situation. This is for us. God bless us as we take these words to heart. A short reminder here before we end this video is that this coming Sunday, August 2nd, we're going to do one outdoor service at 9 a.m. here on campus. We're going to ask you to RSVP. You can RSVP in the link that you got. If you need to, go ahead and call Yoka and RSVP that way. But looking forward to sharing the sacrament together outside, following all the protocols, Mass, and all those kinds of things. Any questions about the service, please don't hesitate to contact the church office. And remember, we're in this together with Christ as our head. God bless you this Tuesday.